This is Modern Mindset, the show that picks the brains of the world's leading minds to help you unlock yours. I'm your host, Adam Cox, and joining me today, we have an actress, a filmmaker, and now author, Jade Asha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So they say an actor's life is tough. Give us a bit of a brief experience in terms of some of the challenges that you faced on this dream. And for a lot of people that pursue acting, it really is a dream. It's a passion, a calling, if you will. What are some of the challenges that you faced on your journey into the acting profession?
I mean, I'm one of these people that I don't have connections in the industry. I don't come from money, and it's not a cheap career to have. You have to invest in yourself a lot, especially in the beginning. So I already kind of had that against me, and I didn't know what I was doing for a start. So it was all kind of like blindly trying to find my way. And in the last 15 years of working, I have found that I've maybe done things that I wish I hadn't have done, and there's better ways of doing things. So I've definitely learned a lot, and that's why I have put together my book to try and share that with other people. But it's things like, it's the chicken and egg, because you need an agent to get work, but you can't get work without an agent. So it's kind of trying to break through that barrier. And even once you do get a job, sometimes the work doesn't come out. So you could be waiting even 3, 4, 5, 6 years for any of your work to come out, and you need that to progress. So that's what's always been quite difficult.
What age were you when you knew that there was little choice here? This was a calling. This was something that you were going to pursue, no matter the challenges, no matter the pitfalls, the obstacles on the way. You were just going to go for this.
I was 17. So I was one of those kids that I was always in awe of performers, like actors, even voiceovers and cartoons, stage performance, everything. I just had this massive admiration for actors. And when I got to around 13, 14, we started doing drama classes in school, which I'd never really experienced before, because I was always quite a shy kid. Like in the school play, there was like Wizard of Oz, and there was 2 mice characters. I was like the non-speaking mouse 2 or something like that. There was absolutely no inkling that I would be an actor one day. And yeah, I got to the age of 14, 15. I think I had a few learning disabilities, so I wasn't really connecting with any other subjects. And then I got given the script from Blood Brothers, and we had to go and work on a scene. And I found that I took the scene home and I learned the entire thing. I came back the next day and no one else had even looked at it. And then I thought, oh, well, I clearly like this more than other people. But it was when I got to 17 and I did AS levels, history and drama, and I wasn't good at the written work. I just kept on going towards the performance side. So that's when I thought, you know what, I'm going to move back to London. I was growing up in Norwich at the time. I moved back to London and just thought I'd go for it.
And one of the things, I guess a lot of people have this kind of dream, this ambition about acting because it's very glamorous, whether it's movie stars or kind of West End productions and things like that. Do you think that the average person going into it knows, let's say, how challenging or how competitive it is to kind of find work? And would you, knowing what you now know, would you have pursued it as a career?
The thing is, you have to be like, you kind of had to make that decision and just be in it. I don't think I could ever do anything apart from acting, and I think you need that to survive. It's one of those industries you literally can't, you mustn't be able to do anything else with your life. This is what you're meant to do, and nothing else does it for you like acting does. And that, because you need that kind of otherwise it's difficult. I've already been in the business for 15 years, and I feel like I'm just starting out. It's been that long, and I was really shocked. I got signed to a new agent yesterday, and she said, how many actors do you think there are in the UK? And I was like, I thought there was around 40,000, which is why, no surprise it's hard. She goes, no, 250,000 actors in the UK alone.
Wow.
This is the kind of competition, and I didn't know that till yesterday. I'm still learning. And but at the same time, if it's something that you want to do with your life, I just think you should spend your life doing what you want to do, what makes you happy. And if this is what does. You just have to understand the realities of it, but also be able to do other things that you might not necessarily want to do, like the side jobs and things like that, because it's worth it at the end of the day.
Absolutely. If you can't justify, let's say, the challenges, the periods where there isn't work, then perhaps you're not meant to be in it. Along the way, let's say waiting rooms for, auditions and things like that, did you bump into people that were on the same path that you were on, but got a clue that their mindset perhaps wasn't the same as your mindset, and that while you knew you were going to stick it out, there were clues from other people that they didn't have what it took, they didn't have that long-term perspective or the resilience required?
Yeah, and I think there has been a lot of people like that I've met, and it's hard because you can't kind of say, oh, that's the wrong attitude to have, or there's nothing you can really say if someone's mind's like that. Like I met an actress and she was asking me all this advice on set, and then a week later she was complaining. She goes, oh, but how do I get a job? Oh, but how do you get an agent? And it was just this like negativity constantly, this, oh, my life's so difficult. Like she was just meant to walk into acting and get a job and then that was it. And it's just not the reality of what this career is. Like what you were saying about all the premieres and the glam stuff, I'd say that's like 0.3% or something. It's the smallest amount of what this job is.
Hmm. And given that not everyone that wants to be an actor is regularly finding acting work, do you tend to find that there tends to be particular side hustles, particular jobs that become more popular, that perhaps do give that flexibility of going to auditions and doing the other things that is their real dream?
So I find most of my friends that are actors, they work in events. So whether that is, hosting, like I did it for years. I was like a hostess at Arsenal football ground or Wembley Stadium. So when there's events, people do that, and that's pretty flexible work. Promotion work is quite a popular one as well. I worked as a massage therapist. That's what I did for many years, just because I found it was really flexible. I didn't want to be doing the promo work. I found it was a bit too unpredictable. Um, but there's loads of different things. There's some really interesting jobs actually. I know more people are being personal trainers now, which is cool. So yeah, there's lots and lots of different jobs you can do alongside.
Mm. And do you think the trend of more, let's say, the gigging economy, the fact that people can download certain apps, kind of choose their hours, choose their own kind of ways of making an income, do you think that has empowered actors to kind of pursue that, to kind of earn money when they're not doing auditions or working? Or do you think actually it's kind of training people to get used to being an employee, but all the problems that come with being self-employed? What's your take on it?
That's interesting. I never thought of it like that. I know for us it's brilliant because it's the way of the world. What was it? There was a new job that someone told me about called Uber, which is, you're an estate agent. People book you for half an hour as an estate agent. You just go and pick up someone's keys and you show them around. It's an amazing flexible job. Um, Definitely great for us, but I guess it's good for other people as well, because I think there's a lot more people wanting to start up their own businesses, and a lot more people want to have a control over their lives. So I guess it gives them the freedom to do that. There is still always the option of getting a kind of a full-time job where you have all the standard security, but I think it's actually quite nice because it gives people the option.
Mm. You've got 15 years of experience in a very challenging, profession. What was your motive to write the book, and what did you really want to kind of allow other people to kind of take from your experience so that perhaps they didn't have to learn it firsthand themselves?
So it was really mindset, actually. It was the way I was thinking, that I didn't have that at the beginning, and even in my 20s, all through my, I think the entire of my 20s was just horrendous, because I was like, oh, why am I not here, da, da, da. I think I just got to a point where I was like, actually I found a way of taking the control and owning my own career, and that was through making my own work. And it just worked wonders for me, because you as an actor, a massive part of it is being a part of something creative. I think if you're you know, I think artists and creatives in general, as long as you're making something, it fills that hole in a way. So when I started writing and producing my own work, when I started doing whatever I do, like I do thousands of things, like even voiceover work, when I started doing that, I just felt better because I was like, well, I've got this in my own hands, and I'm also contributing towards my career as well. So I just wanted to share with people that really helps, and you don't have to put this pressure on yourself. And I think a lot of acting books seem to be from like older middle class people who have had lots of success, and they don't really know or understand the struggle. And so I know that what I was looking for from a book was, I just want to hear from someone who is going through the same thing as me, who can comfort me, who can share what they're going through. And that was the idea, really. I was like, you know, it's not easy, but here's good ways of coping with it.
That makes sense. And do you think, I mean, there's been a lot in the media, you know, over the last few years about the Me Too movement. Do you think that the fact that it is challenging, that perhaps there is 250,000 UK actors competing for such a small amount of roles, is what led people in positions of influence and power to kind of exploit that supply and demand to kind of take advantage? And do you think the Me Too movement has changed anything, or is it just kind of shone a light on what will continue to happen anyway, you think?
No, I think it's doing a lot, to be honest. I've had similar experiences. I wrote a whole short film called The Contract on an experience I had with a director, and it has raised that awareness throughout the industry. I mean, it still happens, but people are pulling each other up on it more, and there's a sense of unity, and there's a sense of you know, like equity, and the bigger unions are stepping in a little bit more, which is really nice. But I always think it is very important that people do speak up when there are things not right in the world, because, you know, otherwise they continue, and, you know, there's many other people going through similar things. So I think it's going to do a lot. They're introducing things like intimacy coordinators now. So in sex scenes and stuff like that, they actually have someone who can professionally manage that and make sure the actors are all comfortable. So that's really important. And also just awareness of what I think at the moment I heard of, there was someone going around claiming they were quite a big film producer, and they were asking actors to like, you know, videotape themselves doing things that they shouldn't. And even like quite well-known established actors were falling for it. This person was very, very convincing, apparently. So it really has raised the dialogue between people to be talking about that. And even just for actors to know, for a start, if you're auditioning, you shouldn't be doing any kind of nudity, or that is discussed at contracting stage. So yeah, I think things like that are really good, and it's changing the industry in a good way.
That sounds very positive. And what would be your advice to, let's say, a teenager going into the industry? Maybe they haven't gone on many auditions, they don't have, you know, a mentor with years of experience and kind of point them in the right direction. What would be your advice to them to deal with a situation where they are being made to feel uncomfortable or encouraged to kind of do something that is for their career, perhaps positive, but not good for their own, you know, kind of position or confidence or self-esteem?
Well, for a start, I have found that the people that are asking these things, they're usually not very reliable. Like the work that they'll, certainly in the UK, I don't think the people kind of asking those kind of things of actresses probably are not able to deliver big film projects anyway. So for a start, it's probably not going to forward your career, because they're probably just talking out their ass the whole time anyway. But what I would say is, wherever you get the audition from, communicate with them. So whether it was a casting website, get in touch with the people running it. If it was through an agent, then flag it up to them. Just always flag it up to the person that you were past their information. Do your research on people as well. I Google people a lot, and if there's nothing on them, it's all very often. The thing is, with IMDb, people can upload their own work these days, and I think that's where some people can get a little bit mistaken. But having good training as well is very important anyway. And yeah, I just say get in touch with Equity. They're the Actors Union. As soon as you can become a member of with them, then it's quite important because they're there to protect us, really.
That makes sense. What, let's say, emotional resource, and as an actor I'm sure you've kind of spent a lot of time honing different kind of emotional scenes and things like that, but as a resourceful state, which would you say is the most important resource that can kind of get you through the tough times as an actor?
Useful resources. So having a good network of people, having good people around you, just generally, I think, whether it's family members, friends, acquaintances. But I think talking to people is very, very important. Just because problems aren't usually as bad once they're said out loud. I think it's quite that's one of the main things I would say, is to let people know if you are going through a difficult time, and be good to yourself, really. You're not going to smash every audition, but there will be more. And I think mindset and reading books about mindsets are very, very important. I think that's the main thing.
To kind of build yourself up and kind of have that kind of good support network sounds like really good advice. How has the COVID pandemic impacted? We know it's impacted, live events massively. So I'm sure things like theaters and kind of live productions have been massively affected. But how's it affected things like TV and kind of film generally? What was your kind of assessment as the impact on acting as a profession?
I know that a lot of actors didn't see the point in staying in London. Those that weren't from London thought, well, what's the point? I'm going to get out of here. So a lot of people seem to have, if they were renting, they gave up their rooms and they went back home, and they've, just taking a little time. I know for me, I was getting auditions, but I was London based. And so castings were coming out and they only wanted London based people. So they didn't want to worry about people traveling too far. So I think people that were still London based were getting self tapes. I was getting asked to audition with the people in my home because obviously we couldn't work with other actors. So it's like, well, who do you live with? Can you get them to do this sausage commercial or like whatever? So it was interesting new challenges. I found that my voiceover work got busier because they couldn't have in person. So there was a lot more commercial work. Some agents seem to be busier than they've ever been that have stayed at it, whereas I've heard that some have shut. So I feel like for everyone it's new challenges, but for some people it's worked out well and some people it hasn't. So it really depends on your circumstance, I think.
Recently, the government launched a campaign to encourage people that are working in the arts to retrain, reskill in things like cybersecurity. What was your reaction when you saw those adverts? What's your perception on that?
It's just I just find it really sad because I think this government anyway has not really shown that much enthusiasm for the arts anyway, even for the last, I mean, in general, no matter who is in charge of the country, the arts always seems to be pushed out the way, like it's not an important thing in this country. But I feel like at a time like this especially, people need that. Like, we're spending more time than ever watching Netflix or entertainment at home. People need a laugh, people need to forget about their lives, and I think that's the importance of art. You take yourself out of your own situation and you feel something, and I feel it's really important. I just felt it was really sad, but artists are very strong and articulate people, so yeah, there was a lot of buzz and a lot of people, you know, saying, you know, we're not going to let that hold us back. But yeah, it's sad. I mean, I do feel like now than ever, people really do need a side job anyway. If you can have something else alongside acting, it's always a useful thing to have. But yeah, it's a shame that they have that attitude, but hopefully somehow that will change.
I think it has to. I think, you know, there's always a reaction, and I think however long it takes, there will be, I think, a resurgence, because I think people have been away from theaters and kind of performances for so long. There's going to be like that pent up demand to kind of go back and experience that. Do you think there could be any long term consequences to the industry as a result of the pandemic? Do you think theaters will shut? Do you think it could literally be you know, the extinction of certain things that we've gotten used to that just may not be part of the short-term future?
Yeah, it was really sad actually. Judi Dench said that she feels like she'll never see theatres reopen in her lifetime, which was just like really, really sad. It's a very old industry, and you know, and we really treasure it in this country. And so I know people are working really, really hard to try and keep things going. There's a lot of donations going on, and theatres are working as hard as they can to try and get reopened. But I think the reality is that just not everyone's going to be able to hold on in there. There is, I mean, the industry has changed so much. Like with mobile phones, actors can make their own web series and get it into people's hands. So there are advantages, but obviously our treasured theatres are, you know, in trouble at the moment. And yeah, I guess time will tell. It depends how long this whole thing goes on for. I think they're hanging on there now, but not for much longer if they can't get people in there.
Mm. Yeah, it's a very uncertain time. And do you think that would put people off from becoming an actor right now if perhaps they were, let's say, at the same age you were, when you kind of really thought acting's for me, you know, 17-year-olds right now looking at things going on and thinking, well, the theaters are closed and there aren't performances. Now it would be hard to go to auditions. Do you think this could, you know, have like this whole kind of, you know, let's say new tranche of people just never becoming actors?
See, I wondered that and I thought that, but actually I've had so many people get in touch with me and they're like, how do I become an actor? I really want to do acting. So it's not putting people off at all. I think if anything, people that are kind of thinking, well, what do I really want to do? Like, you know, they've got time to be at home and to be looking at things. So, you know, it's a shame because obviously a lot of acting is, you know, a lot of that buzz is working with someone in person. So I feel really sorry for all the people that are just starting drama school who have just got in, and you know they're going to have to be doing their courses from home. I think that's a shame. But I've seen like the National Theatre, they've been doing shows like out in a field in a big country manor park. So I think people will always find a way. And yeah, I think people still want to do acting, and there is still, like I said, Netflix and Prime bringing their own shows out. There is still work, maybe not for everyone, but I think if people still want to do this with their lives, then they shouldn't give it up. There's always a way.
Let's say that you've got a time machine and you can go back to when you were just starting out in acting. What advice would you give your younger self now based on the experience that you have having done it for 15 years?
Oh, that's difficult because the thing is, I think from the beginning, I knew that uh, I knew I should be working on my special skills. I knew that I should be taking as much work as possible and doing as much as possible. I genuinely feel like the way that I have managed my career, I've always been at it 110%. What would I tell? I think maybe just put more work in, even though I put 110%, just put even more work in and just keep on going. I tell myself to relax because I think things come to you when you're ready. And I wasn't ready. Like I had opportunities, you know, I did get big auditions, and I'd just get in there and I'd be so overwhelmed. And yeah, I think things genuinely do come to you when you're ready. And I feel like now I'm ready for, like, you know, the bigger jobs, like I have been in the last few years as well. And I just tell myself to relax, and, you know, as long as you're doing something, then, you know, you're going in the right direction. That would be the main thing.
Okay, that makes sense. You've written your book, you've got lots of kind of pearls of wisdom in there. Let's say that someone isn't able to, and of course we're going to give them the link and the place to buy the book, but let's say that there was just one key principle in that book that you would really want either a current actor or aspiring actor to really take from the book. What would be that nugget of gold that they can just kind of take on board now?
That you should be in it for the long run. You know, it's not, it's, you want to be the tortoise, not the hare. You want to take it slow. You want to do everything right. You don't want to rush. The person that gets there the quickest isn't always going to be the one that is going to survive for longer in this career. And you've got to look at it that you're in it for life. You know, you can be working up until you 80, however old, you know, you can keep on working in this industry. So yeah, I think too many people go, oh, I'll give it till I'm 30 and then I'll give up. And that's kind of when things start to get exciting. You become more established. The roles get more exciting. You've learned more. You can bring more emotionally to the role. So I think, yeah, it would be just take your time.
Fantastic. And if someone's curious about the book, give us the title again and where people can find it.
So it's called Actorpreneur, and I have a website which is www.actorpreneur.com, and it's going to be available on Amazon from the 4th of November 2020. And yeah, you can get everything there. So it's going to be on paperback, ebook, and I need to record the audiobook. Still getting there.
Well, I can see you're in a vocal booth right now, so you've got the equipment to do it, even if there's lockdown or no lockdown. We're going to make sure there is a link to the Amazon book actually in the show notes. So if you're listening to this right now, you can kind of click the show notes, see the link, and then actually order the book. So that's Actorpreneur. Jade, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're more than welcome. And to you at home, thanks for joining me on Modern Mindset. See you again soon for more.